Welcome, class 12th, poetry number 3, Keeping Quiet, written by Pablo Neruda. So, today we are going to start this poem. As you can see, there is a picture of Pablo Neruda. So, he was born in 1904 and he passed away in 1973. Actually, Pablo Neruda was not his real name, it was his pen name, but it became his legal name afterwards. He was a poet, diplomat, and politician. His real name was Neftali Ricardo Reyes Basalto, and he was born in a small town. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. He used to write with green ink, which was his personal symbol for desire and hope. And his writings were always very simple, beautiful. Originally, he was writing in Spanish, and the essence of this poem, which we are going to start, is based on introspection and retrospection. The poet feels that some soul searching is needed for us. Means we have to search our souls to be at peace with ourselves and others. So we have learned about the poet, and now summary. Keeping Quiet is a peace poem in which the poet asked humanity to count 1 to 12. Here 12 is symbolic as it is shown in a clock, as well as it is also number of zodiac sign. The poet says that we should not speak because language creates barrier. When everyone will stop moving, then it would be a exclusive moment which is never experienced. And in that period of inactivity, the fishermen, the salt gatherers, and all those who are busy in destroying the nature, they will adopt a new approach. The people who are preparing for wars, victory, they will also do nothing. There will be no harm to anyone. A complete unity and pondering upon our acts and realization of the results of our deeds. The poet does not want that this inactivity should be judged as doing nothing, idle, but he wants to promote universal brotherhood and peace. We are always in a mad rush to achieve our goals, but the poet wants us to pause, to be happy, and to overcome our fear of death, feel relaxed, and just think about the results of our deeds and achievements. When the people will remain quiet for a while, they will realize the purpose of their lives. Just like all the creations of nature, there is a process of rebirth, change of season. Keeping quiet will also give us a chance to rebirth. It will give a new meaning to our life. And at the end of the poem, the poet again says to count up to 12 before he leaves. So now let us start the lesson. Let us introduce the lesson. The poem discusses the need of maintaining peace and silence. This poem suggests us to be quiet, to be harmless, peace and harmony. It is required to stop and introspect ourselves. As far as the rhyme scheme of the poem is concerned, it is written in free verse. It does not follow any rhyme scheme. Now, before you read, just ask yourself a question. What does the title of this poem suggest to you? What do you think the poem is about? Think about it, and I'm going to start the explanation part. After thinking about it, you can share with me. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let us stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a suddenness, on a sudden strangeness. You can see there are some words highlighted, and these highlighted words are actually for the figure of speech which is written in red color, and the meaning of lines or difficult words are also given in brackets. So let us start. The poet says to count up to 12. He requests us to count up to 12 and keep calm. That moment when everyone will keep calm on the face of this earth or in his own life. Nobody will speak any language, and that will be a kind of unity. Let us stop for 1 second. Don't move our arms. Arms here refers to hand and weapon both. That's why it is pun. So we will not move our arms to do any work, to signal or to fight. It would be an exotic moment, means unusual moment, and there will be no rush, no competition, no cutthroat competitions. No engines will be working. We would all be together, and together we will be in a sudden strangeness. It will be a standstill as everyone will be silent. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. So, fisherman has again two meaning. One, fisherman works in the cold sea, kills the whales for livelihood. The other, exploiters who exploit for their livelihood. They harm the innocent people. So that's why it is metaphor. And the man gathering salt, and here man gathering salt is the exploited person who never gets a chance to look after the hurt hands, so he will also get a chance to look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare for green war, means those who are against nature, they are preparing for any war. That result would be victory with no survivors, means the human beings will be killed. And these people who are preparing for war, they will put on clean clothes, means new approach, and then they will consider everyone not as a competitor but as their brothers, a mankind. And in the shade, and in this shade, in this unity, do nothing. Here again it is metaphor. Metaphor because just as shade protects us from the harsh sun, we will protect and shelter each other as brothers. And in this way, we'll be able to live in harmony and peace. The poet here says that we should not think this inactivity as complete death. He says that this is super activity. This is the time to introspect, because life is all about growing, active. So you should not be confused with total inactivity and death. The poet, in a very beautiful way, uses that word truck, which means expression. And truck has one more meaning, that transport vehicle. The poet says, I want no truck with death, means no truck with dead bodies. And at the same time, he says that we should not refuse to work or tolerate, but we should analyze results of our deeds in this time when we would be keeping quiet. Whatever we have done, what is the result of that cutthroat competition? If we were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. The poet says that we should not be single minded, selfish. We should not think only about our lives moving. Just for once, we could do nothing. Because if we will not introspect, if we will not stop now, perhaps there will be a huge silence. That means complete destruction. And that will interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves. And then we will realize our mistake. That how threatening deeds we are doing to ourselves. And this inactivity can be supported by one example from earth. Perhaps the earth can teach us. Just like earth, the greatest creator, it also goes in sleeping mode. It seems like it is dead, but is actually dormant and carefully preserving the seeds of life. Human beings too need to keep still and quiet to rejuvenate and awaken the life forces within and be productive. See the beautiful lines here. As when everything seems dead, like the decaying leaves, buried, later proves to be alive. The same buried, decaying leaves that gives chance to germination of seeds, because it works as a very good fertilizer. Here dead and alive both are used, so it is antithesis. And after this the poet says, now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So he gives us chance to introspect. So we have completed this poem and now it is time to discuss the question answers. What will counting up to 12 and keeping still help us achieve? So if we count up to 12, we keep still, then we can get a chance to think about, we can get a chance to introspect, and we may realize our mistake. So points are here, you can take points from here and write your answer. Question number 2. Do you think the poet advocates total inactivity and death? No, not at all. Because inactivity cannot be death here. It is a chance to introspect and see the consequences, what we humans have done to this earth, what we have done till now. It is time to realize our mistake. Question number 3 is, what is the sadness that the poet refers to in the poem? So the sadness is actually the result of our own actions. According to the poet, we all are in a hurry and it can be dangerous. So it is time to realize these problems then become the reason for our sadness. What symbol from nature does the poet invoke to say that there can be life under apparent stillness? The poet takes the example of earth, how the earth buries the seeds and those decaying leaves work as a fertilizer, how it revives, how the inactivity of this earth, like in winters it happens, can bring life to this earth. So this you can write here. And now I have some extra questions. Life is what it is all about. How is keeping quiet related to life? What does the poet want all the perpetrators of war to do? And what will possibly be the effect of keeping quiet? So these 3 questions you have to do yourself. And there is one activity. Choose a quiet corner at your home, as right now you all are in your houses, and keep still physically and mentally for about 5 minutes. Do you feel any change in your state of mind? Means whatever you were thinking earlier and now after this introspection. Notice the differing line lengths of these strangers and the shifts in thought from stranger to stranger. So this you can notice after reading the chapter. Thank you.